Hello, and welcome to the Simply Rooted podcast, a space for honest conversations about faith, wellness, and really the art of living a slower, more rooted life. I'm your host, Kristy Broman. Today's conversation is with someone who has walked with me through some of the hardest and yet most sacred seasons of my life, my dear friend and old roommate, Hilary Engel. Hilary and I met about 5 years ago when we lived together in a house of 4 women. We came into each other's lives during seasons that were really heavy. I was in the thick of my Lyme journey, while Hilary was carrying and processing some of her own deep, unexpected life experiences. For 3 years, we witnessed each other through mountaintop moments and sat together, oftentimes on our kitchen floor, through the valleys. Hilary brings a rare combination of sass, joy, and depth. And she loves to banter, but also never shies away from the real, honest work of feeling, grieving, hoping, and ultimately trusting God through it all. In this episode, Hilary shares about walking with God through seasons of unexpected loss, long waiting, and life transitions, and how His grace has met her not just in the mountaintop moments, but also in the depths of the valleys. We talk about what it looks like to receive God's grace for ourselves and how to trust that God is still writing a good story even when the path feels really unclear. My hope is that as you listen, you feel seen in your own season, reminded that God is near in the valleys, generous with His grace, and faithful to meet us wherever we are. So what do you say? Let's dive in. We feeling good?
Yep.
Why don't we start off with you introducing yourself? Share with listeners a little bit about who you are, background, your faith walk.
We could go in 37 different directions based on what you just said. So let's go with this. My name is Hilary, and I am born and raised in Minnesota, small town girl, but you know, my heart's for the city. And I grew up in a Christian home and decided to be the rebellious child and find my own way, like a lot of people who have their own faith journeys, and drove my parents crazy while doing so, and have the very infamous yet central part of my faith story where during a the exit interview, I should say, for confirmation, I told my pastor in my small town Lutheran church where my parents had grown up, been married, etc., that I was going to keep going to church, but not there. And yeah, that kind of sums up my personality in middle school, and honestly how I still am today.
Still. You're like, and actually nothing's changed.
Exactly. I was like, you know what? Yeah, hi, hello, still here. And, you know, because of that, and because my parents wanted to have their daughter growing up knowing the Lord and following Jesus, they found a different church to go to, actually. So I guess they let their child kind of run that for a little bit. So thanks, Mom and Dad. Sorry also. And, you know, we found one, and I kind of never looked back in a good way. Obviously, nothing was perfect, and it still isn't. And in fact, a lot of messy things happened through high school and even through college, and it was a lot of learning what grace is, learning how to accept it, learning not to abuse it, to not take advantage of it, that just because God gives it and gives it freely doesn't mean that I can just do whatever I want. Yeah. But knowing that all that He has done for me calls me to something different.
When you were about to get confirmed,
Yeah.
big pivotal moment, at least in terms of like finding a new church, putting down roots there, having your family start attending this new church. What did that do for your actual faith walk?
So that was when I really first experienced what I now know to be the Holy Spirit, and got to feel the fullness of the Trinity, when before, and what I would now say is I was living off of 2/3 of the Trinity. And I used to before just be like, I don't know, it just didn't feel right.
Sure.
It just didn't feel right in my gut or something like that. Now, hindsight, I can be like, oh, that was the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of the times that came through music.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this about me. Anyone who knows me knows this about me. But that has been, still is, probably, Lord willing, forever will be the way that I connect with my faith and typically share it as well.
Mm-hmm. It's through music,
Yep.
through worshiping, through leading
Yeah.
music too. Okay, so you mentioned that there's been several different times in your life where you've experienced God's grace and have had to, you said it was kind of like, I forget your exact words, but a rugged road, essentially, of coming to know God and his grace, and have seen a lot of hardship throughout that. What has that entailed?
Well,
Are we unpacking
how
this?
much time do we have? Like, so one of the constant themes throughout my life has been growing up with a sister that has a traumatic brain injury. And so there's a lot that comes along with that as far as a family dynamic goes.
Yeah.
And everything that entails. And, you know, giving her grace and giving myself grace when I'm not kind towards her, when I'm not kind in my responses, actions, anything like that, which is more often than I care to admit. And that's been since I was 3 years old. So that's, I would say, like a central thing as far as the ruggedness or roughness, whatever we're calling it. And also really trying to find love and companionship in all the wrong places. It was usually boys. I think that happens for a lot of teenage girls. And I was no exception. Continuing to run to them to get my validation, affirmation, whatever it was.
Kind of get your fix.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you get the fix from one, you go to the next, you go to the next, you go to the next. And that got me into a lot of trouble. That, you know, thank goodness for Jesus and the therapists as well, for being able to process through that. And, you know, getting to a place where you no longer carry the shame of things that happened because of choices that were made, because, you know, you accept it, you made choices, and that is what it is. But
it's where the grace
it's where the grace piece enters, and you accept that and know that the blood of Christ is enough, and you accept that.
Yeah. What has working through that looked like, or how do you like actually apply that, right? It's one thing to sit there and be like, yes, I know the gospel, I know it's true, and I can accept that, but applying that and actually seeing the transformation in my thought process or in my heart is a lot of work. And we didn't say this earlier, but you and I lived together for several years, and we lived during some really weird seasons for both of us. Like, I met you, I was using a walker, you were going through huge life transitions, and like we both were in our pits. Yeah, like I would describe when we first met each other at Jordan's house, like that was a season of both of us sitting in our own pits and really trying to sift through what does healing look like beyond just the physical. But we unpacked a lot.
There's a lot on those kitchen floors. Like,
literally the number of times you'd come home and I'd just be blaring worship music,
like,
sobbing
okay, what do
on
we
the
need to
kitchen
do?
floor.
Truly.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, we love a kitchen floor.
Yes.
I think I'm a big book person, and the type of book I mean is not the like overly self-helpy, like put a Band-Aid on it, move on. But the like you need to examine every inch of this and take as long as you need to work through every line on this page kind of book. The one that did it for me did it for me. I mean, I don't even know what that means, frankly. I think I actually took 2 years to read it, frankly.
Wow.
It was so I've been through a lot of therapists. I really believe in the power of therapy. I've unfortunately had some, as you know, terrible experiences with therapists, but I'm very much an advocacy for it. Like, you can have Jesus and a therapist too.
Yeah.
Full stop, period.
Yeah.
But one of those therapists recommended the book Rid of My Disgrace, is what it was called. Can't remember the authors, so sorry. So Rid of My Disgrace, I had to work through so slowly, because every page made me feel so raw. Because it was like, just as soon as a wound would heal, it would be opened again.
Okay. Yeah.
And
open in a sense of circumstantially something would happen again that would open it, or it's like all of a sudden I thought I was done and healed with this, and yet there's still things festering.
That.
Okay.
Because in terms of circumstance, I was in a better place, because I was out of the situation and the locations where all of that was happening. Yeah. So like, I had fully removed myself from every possible way that was really happening again. But it was still there. Yeah. And so it was processing through.
There's trauma attached to it, right?
Listen, like,
so yeah.
It's like a PTSD thing, truly. Yeah. And so I had done EMDR for it, and then brain spotting is what it's called eventually. But going through this book too was a huge part of it. And when I was able to get through the end of it, and then when I would hear other people talk about their traumatic relationships and not be triggered myself, that's when I was like,
whoa, there's been a work done.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've worked through this. Like, I've been healed. The Lord, like, what's needed to be done, that work has been done. But I never knew that. I couldn't really tell as it was happening. Yeah. It was just all of a sudden.
Well, because it's a slow work, right?
Super slow.
It's not like, oh, I just came out, I closed this book, and all of a sudden I'm healed and I'm a new woman and all these things. It's like, healing takes time. And oftentimes it's the slow, mundane moments where you start to realize, like, oh, that's not a trigger for me anymore. And that would have been a huge thing for me even just a couple months ago, or, you know, whatever it might be. And so I feel like oftentimes I have my own like traumas or things like that that are highlighted for me, where I'm like, oh, that used to really bother me when this would happen, or when people would say that, or whatever it might be. Right. And it's not. And I don't know at what point that changed or shifted, but
it did.
Yeah. That's cool.
I would say that my other biggest, there's not a good word for it. Yeah. One of my other biggest traumas would be having my best friend, who I thought was probably the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with, pass away very unexpectedly. He was in his early 20s. So was I. We were fresh out of college. And to this day, we still don't know how he died. But that kind of thing, no one prepares you for. And that was hands down the hardest thing I have ever been through. I found out while I was working at Starbucks. And I think I just kind of like blacked out in the back room. And to this day, I'm convinced that my friends had like a spreadsheet to basically take care of me and make sure that I was safe and doing things to like remain a functioning human even. But that was It was 10 years ago this year. And that's a very different kind of trauma, because there's no getting over it. There's moving forward. So unlike, reading a book and processing that, like, grief and the trauma that comes with that, it's the sort of thing that comes in waves, and the waves will get less and less, and then they come less frequently, but they never really stop. I went to a therapist way too soon after he passed away, and fortunately that therapist had the wherewithal to say, maybe this is too soon and it's not right for you yet, because it wasn't, and just kind of held out for, okay, when am I ready, and who is the best person for me to connect with. And my friends at the time would actually, they read the Psalms to me. Like, I couldn't bring myself to, like, I couldn't do anything. But they would read the Psalms to me. They would read other scriptures to me. And the only thing that I could do is I would write out lyrics to, like, my favorite worship songs. Like, that was the closest I could get. Yeah. Once it was about 4 years after he had passed away, we tried therapy again. And interestingly enough, it was his dad who recommended the therapist that ended up being the therapist who recommended the book that got me to process through everything, who to this day is one of the best therapists I have ever had. Like,
wow.
Just
wow.
Crazy. That helped me process so much, from everything with my sister up through, the death of him and things in between that I didn't even realize were issues, to I'm so stressed out at work today and I don't even want to do this, and why am I going in? And he's like, I don't know, why are you? And I was like, I don't know, why am I? And just things that you don't even realize you need to talk to someone about, and then all of a sudden your therapist is like, that's literally why I'm here.
Yep.
So it's it's so wonderful once you find a good therapist, and they can say, there's nothing wrong with you,
right?
But you have been through so much, and you can be,
and a lot of it hasn't even been unpacked yet, right?
No,
because at this point you have gone through at least 3-4 very significant separate traumas, and haven't really unpacked any of it yet, right? And so like with Alex's passing, like, that was almost this, I need to address what I've been
I was like, okay, carrying. We cannot take on any other,
right?
Nope. No mas. Oh, I forgot one. Speaking of traumas, not to like make light of them, but I have been told that I use humor as a defense mechanism by a therapist. A good one. So he passed away July 2015. January 2016. So we're like 6 months.
Yeah.
I get a call from my mom. And I didn't answer it right away because I was with one of my friends from college. I'd graduated not that long before, but he was still in college and we were at a coffee shop doing work or something. And so I didn't hear it ring. She left a voicemail. I'm listening to it. And it's one of those where it's like, your parents' voices and their tone of voices.
You're like, something's up.
And when they're trying to pretend that something's not happening, but it totally is, it was one of those. And it was about my dad. And my dad's had a lot of health issues before. But the long and short of it from her voicemail was that my dad was on his way to Rochester
Mayo.
Yeah, Rochester, Mayo.
Yeah.
Not like to go to Best
Not-
Buy or
yeah.
something. Or Menards is his usual place of choice, just to be clear. Come and find out, we spent the next 3 weeks there. He most of the time was in a coma, and he went into full sepsis, and we thought we were going to lose him. And
this is 6 months after.
Yeah. I have never yelled at the Lord as much as I did that day, but that was awful, because like, you want to talk about compounded trauma,
Right.
having that come right after. And I just remember like in the car being like, you cannot take my dad. Like you cannot take my dad. And my mom still tells me that she was her prayer was, you can't let him see that light, because if he does, he will go toward it. He will go toward it. He loves you, but we still need him. Like, and you know, so he made it through that. And I mean, it's literally nothing short of a miracle that he did. But you know, then getting to even like process something like that with the therapist, and not realizing the dynamic that almost losing a parent but not losing a parent has on you, and like pseudo grief but not really grief has on you. And
you've mentioned, well, first you mentioned your friends reading the Psalms to you, and like that being a huge pivotal piece, writing out scripture or writing out worship songs, lyrics to worship songs, and then yelling at the Lord, like really real ways of processing grief when you're in the pit, and like when you actually are at the end of yourself. What do you feel like that, I mean, maybe not has looked like, because that's not the right question, but how do you think that has changed or impacted your walk with Jesus, grieving with him like that?
Okay, it's cheesy, but like,
let's hear the Hallmark one.
It's cheesy because it's true. Okay.
Yeah.
It brings you closer in the worst way, because I think it gives you more of a look at what it was like for him. Like the Gethsemane, like pleading, take this from me, not my will but yours, except I couldn't bring myself to say that part. And then you realize like how great your need is, because you can't do what Christ did. And you see that gap. You're like, okay. Yep. Nope. I fall short.
Yeah, I need you to fill this.
But like that despair, and realizing that like, yes, he is absolutely on the mountaintop. 100%. And
almost like that's where people want to fix their gaze, or think that like as Christians that's where you should be, in a sense of like, oh, if I'm following God and if I'm walking life with Jesus, it should be mountaintop to mountaintop. But people don't realize that there's valleys between the mountain peaks, you know.
Well, like you can't get to the other mountaintop without going through a valley.
Right.
That's not how it works, unless you've got a helicopter, which like
you got a long tightrope.
Right. And like, I'm not taking the tightrope, because if you fall off the tightrope, where are you going to end up? A valley. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but like, it's a high percentage you're going to end up in a valley in some point.
Right.
And I know who's going to be there. Not just the people that God has put in my life to be there, but that he will be there.
Yeah. And even, I know we've talked about this before too, but how unique some of individually our sufferings are, but you specifically, Hilary, like you have seen so many of those valleys, and they're so unique and just like non-comparable to what most people face in life, and you've faced several, right? And so it's like, I can only imagine the isolation and the loneliness, because no one actually gets it. You know, people can sit with you, you can have community, you can have people surrounding you, and definitely like the Lord has blessed you with a good community that does show up, and like not denouncing that at all. But when you're facing that despair and you know that no one around you actually gets the pain that you are experiencing, you can know that my God does, you know, because of what he's done in the garden and what he's faced and what he's taken on for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I can imagine that just like almost creates a deeper intimacy of feeling known by him. Yeah. So this all happened. You entered therapy, but you didn't go into therapy right away. So Dad was in the hospital in January
2016.
Mm-hmm. What did working through that season look like? Right, we're not yet in therapy, not ready to be processing that raw, real, deep, gut-wrenching emotion. So what did that look like for you?
Not good. It looked like faking it. And pretending I was doing better than I was. Because there were a lot of layers to the relationship that I had with Alex. And I didn't want people to worry about me. Like, I'm the mama bear all the time.
Yes, you are.
And I had enough of people taking care of me.
Yeah.
I appreciated it, but I was like, nope, we're done. I put a timeline on my own grief.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's almost like you're like, I don't want to be in here in this season anymore, so I'm just going to choose.
So I'm done.
Yeah. To ignore it.
So yeah, what did I do after that? Nothing good. Like, fake it till you make it, but I never made it.
What do you think was the pivotal thing that brought you out of that then?
Going to the place where he died.
Yeah.
I went to Ireland.
Yeah.
And stood in a bunch of the places where he stood. Met the people that he ministered to. Bawled my eyes out with his family.
This was a trip you took with his family?
Yeah, with the church.
Okay.
We did.
So it was the same trip that he was on previous years?
No.
Okay.
But it was
maybe
through the same church.
For context for listeners, he was on a mission trip through his church.
Yep. And it was their last full day there. They didn't have, anything to do then. And so they were going to go gallivant in Northern Ireland because why not? Because it's beautiful and all of these wonderful things. And he just collapsed. And they couldn't resuscitate him. And that was it. And so about 2 years after that, I had the opportunity to go with the same church, and I was like, I can't not do this. And I got to see, they have a memorial for him over there. I got to meet his friends over there and see where he died over there. It wasn't necessarily healing, but it brought a sense of closure that I never thought I would get. And it also helped me realize that I was kind of mad at an entire country, which was really weird to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
And also it's how do you process that? Because how do you forgive a nation? But being over there and meeting people and ministering to them, I did.
Wow.
And then I went again 2 years later and fell in love with it myself. Somewhere between those 2 years is when I started seeing the first of the two really good therapists. And that helped immensely.
Yeah.
we were living together when I was doing that. And I was like, sorry, can't talk.
Yeah.
I have therapy, and then no one can talk to me for 48 hours because I'm out of commission.
Yeah,
it was
intense.
A lot.
What do you feel like at the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned a lot of your walk with Jesus has been learning about his grace and God's grace for you and receiving that grace. How do you feel like that has tied in the midst of probably, I don't want to project this on you, but being really freaking pissed off and like...
It's not a projection if it's true.
I've seen some things, but like just being downright mad at God. And like, I don't understand why time and time again you are allowing these things to happen to me, and I cannot bear another thing, and then yet another thing happens. Like, what has that looked like for you?
I'll let you know when I figure it out, honestly. Because it's a daily thing.
Yeah.
I think high school me would have had a better answer for you. Because it was easier.
I was going to say high school you also probably wouldn't have had a real answer, a vulnerable, true answer. It would have had the textbook answer. Yeah. Right?
The very Sunday school answer is what high school Hilary would have given you. And now today I would say, I don't know, it changes all the time. Some days I believe it thoroughly and can tell you, you know, this is grace and it's real. And now I find myself more often than not saying to give myself grace. Because I think more often than not, that's what needs to happen.
Sure.
Is more so the like inward grace.
It's almost like receiving the grace that he's already given, right?
Is becoming,
making it personal to you. Yeah.
Which is so backwards because like that's the elementary thing, right?
Sure.
Is like that's like the first thing we learn. That's you know, like accept Jesus into your heart and like for it is by grace you have been saved. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's 101.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I get into my 30s and I'm like, yes. I am worthy of grace.
I think that's like the complex, I don't even want to say complexity of it, but it's simple, not easy, right? The gospel, receiving the gospel is a very simple message of receive grace into your heart and receive the Lord into your heart. The message is simple.
Oh yeah.
But it's not easy to actually do that because we see ourselves as sinners, or we see the things that we have done that have made us fall, or we see like the trauma and the brokenness and the hurt that we experience, and there's no way that God is actually choosing me in the midst of this, or I don't feel chosen, I feel overlooked maybe. And so I hear you. Like it makes sense to me though why you're saying like, oh, in my 30s I'm like, wait, do I actually do this very elementary thing of being a Christian and accept grace into my heart? And it's like, I would argue most Christians probably wrestle with that in some degree or another, you know, but
then at the same time, literally, I think it was last night, I was almost in tears, like telling my mom how grateful I was because there's so many good things in my life right now. Yeah. So it's like the dichotomy of being a Christian, like it's not either or, it's both and.
Yes. Yeah.
It's never going to be either or.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's what you think you signed up for.
Almost like going back to that visual that we were just talking about of mountain peaks or mountaintops and valleys. It's like we're always going to be maybe like 1 foot on the mountaintop and 1 foot in the valley at any given time. How
flexible
right?
Are you?
Well, I'm just saying, like, there's some things in my life that I'm like, I feel really great about.
All the time?
It feels that way. Sometimes I'm a little bit strained, you know?
That but like, is that why I always wake up in pain?
No, that's just being in your 30s. That's just getting old. But like, if you think about it, there are so many circumstances, to your point of last night, gratitude, thinking of these mountaintop experiences, because we could get into that too, but like the Lord has provided a lot of redemption in your life and a lot of healing and a lot of just gifts from him that are so sweet, and those mountaintop things. And yet that doesn't discredit the other things that are still valleys, or the things that come up that you're still feeling the weight of, right? So it's like putting that split visual back in our minds of like one foot's on the mountaintop, one foot's in the valley, and that's just like, that's the constant walk of, I feel like, the Christian life, right? Is
no wonder it's
being able to be no wonder we're always in discomfort because we're stretched in a way that like
nothing else can.
Yeah,
Nothing
it's to your point, the
like
both
it.
ands. It's the both ands. Would love to hear just from obviously a lot of valleys throughout your whole life, but like right now, Hilary, you're sitting in a spot where you are seeing a lot of God's provision or a lot of redemption. What has that been like? One, maybe like the tangible, like what are things going on in your life that are the mountaintop peaks that you are so excited and grateful for? But also two, what has that been like almost in a sense of receiving it, right? Not only are we receiving the grace of God, but like receiving the gifts that he's giving us. And I don't know, this is maybe more of a loaded question for after you answer the first one, but I could imagine there's maybe some fear in receiving the good gifts from God because of what you've experienced before.
You know what? I'm going to go backwards and start there because let's just be real.
You're like, I'm going to make up
what's
my own.
it like when most of your life is a valley and all of a sudden God says, here's a mountaintop? Scary.
Yeah.
It's kind of a waiting for the other shoe to drop and wondering, is this actually real? Is this very, very good thing actually happening to me? Or is it meant for someone else and it's going to be gone tomorrow? It's trying to self-sabotage and make said good thing go away. Because you know what? It'd just be easier if you don't get too attached.
Yeah.
So that you can just stay comfortable in your valley.
Yeah.
And not even climb a little bit up.
Well, because there's risk involved, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
The mountaintop's risky.
It is. And it's vulnerable because you're more exposed, right?
There's more room in the valley, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot more room down there. I was comfortable. I had lamps, nice little rug.
Wow.
Mountaintop. I'm not used to being there. Like, what do I do up here? And the truth is, like, you know, a lot of people talk about, like, worshiping while you wait and that whole thing. I was good at that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not, like, capable of this whole mountaintop thing, but what? What is this? And so, not to, like, beat around the bush and everyone's like, what is she talking about? What's the mountaintop? It's not this, like, totally metaphorical thing. I've been seeing someone for, well, like, since February. And it's going really well. Like, really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. His family's great. His friends are great. And I'm like, what is the deal?
Well, I think, too, for you, which we kind of bonded over this when we lived together, but we intentionally chose men that we knew wouldn't fit the bill because there was less risk involved, right? Like our dating history, we would go on dates with men that
we had a great dating life, Kristy. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, we just can't sit here and lie.
Okay, fine. Go ahead, expose the truth.
But like, truthfully, the men that for a segment of time when you and I were living together, men that we would meet and go on dates with they weren't men that we knew we could see a future with. No. And so then therefore it almost released this sense of risk because I'm like, oh, I know this isn't going to go anywhere. So like, I'll go on a couple dates with you, get to know you, but I'm actually not interested in going further with you. Oh my God, or having a relationship go further with you.
It was so bad. And
that was something that like we didn't really know that we were maybe doing super outwardly at the time. Like
we kind of knew, but we didn't.
But like right now you're in a relationship that's completely different where it's a man of character and integrity and leadership and pursuit, and it's different than what you've experienced because of his character and his pursuit of you, and almost that creates this vulnerability or this risk then for you, because you're like, wait a second, this could actually lead somewhere. Like, this could lead to marriage.
It made it scarier in every way, because I was like, I don't want to screw this up at all.
Right. Because again, there's a risk involved, because now it's like, I actually can see a future with this person. I actually desire a future with this person.
Oh, I want this person to be my future.
Yeah. And if it doesn't go that way, then that's going to lead me to heartbreak. So I'm stuck with this decision of either self-sabotage and get out early, or keep pursuing this and keep risking vulnerability with this person. Okay. So receiving the gifts of the Lord, bringing it back to that. It's been scary. It's been risky. What do you feel like that looks like for you? Like, what are either the things that you've had to surrender or go to him in, or just process and talk through, or, you know, what has it tangibly look like if someone's listening and they're like, yeah, I actually have had valley moment after valley moment, and I'm fearful to live a life of goodness because I don't know if that's actually for me.
That's a bigger conversation than 30 seconds. Or however long this answer takes. But embracing that also took me being vulnerable with my boyfriend and inviting him into potential valleys and being open about them. So, like, letting him know about my sister and what that looks like and what that could look like. Letting him know about Alex and that entire past. Letting him know about past dating and how messy that was. It's weird because in a lot of ways, being on the mountaintop was almost this, like, waiting to fall back down. And not because I was self-sabotaging in that moment there, but I was like, here is all of me. Like, will you still love me if you see all of this? And, you know, like, every single time, every single thing, it's been this resounding yes.
What a picture too of course, like, you guys preparing for marriage and what that looks like with unconditional love, but also like the love of Jesus for you. Because I think in my own life, there's been times where I have felt so much shame of my sin or of things that have happened or whatever, that I am fearful to even be real with Jesus about this is what I've experienced, whatever. And yet it's, to your point, what you were saying earlier, of reteaching yourself how to receive the grace that you know that God gives you, but actually like actually receiving that.
Honestly though, like, now that I think about it, lately there's nothing that could be more of an evidence of grace than Jake. Truly, like, than to see it in, like, the most blatant everyday way, like emulating Christ in ways that he doesn't even know.
What would be your advice to a listener who is where you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like in the thick of it, not seeing hope on the horizon?
Don't get comfortable in the valley. Don't buy that lamp. Don't buy that rug. It's actually something my mom always told me. Don't make the valley a home. Unfortunately, I didn't take her advice a lot of times. So don't get comfortable there. Look for the people here on earth around you who can be your community to support you, even if you don't know what you need. And let them help you, even if it's like, it can be laundry. Truly. It can be laundry. It can be picking up your Target order. The most practical things, like, that's okay. Let people help you. And even if you don't want to hear this, and you probably don't if you're in the place that I was, he's with you. He is. He's been in that dark place. And if you're in that dark place, then he's in that dark place with you. And again, I recognize that if you're in that, you probably don't want to hear that, because the cheesy things tend to not help in those moments, but it's the truth. And if there's anything that helps, it's knowing that there is no one who knows darkness, and not to go morbid, but death more intimately than Christ. So if you are in that valley, that darkness, he's there.
That's good. Thanks so much for being on today, being vulnerable, sharing all the things. I know we kind of came into today where we were like, what are we going to talk about? We'll see. It's exactly how I remember all of our kitchen floor chats. But so good. So sweet to have you on, and I'm just so grateful for your friendship. Yeah. Thanks, Hill.
You're welcome.
There's something so comforting to me about the way that Hilary holds both sass and grief so honestly, not pretending that the valleys don't exist in her life, but just refusing that they steal her joy. Hilary's story is a reminder that walking with God doesn't mean life unfolds neatly or painlessly. Sometimes it means learning how to trust him in seasons where joy and sorrow exist side by side, where mountaintop moments and deep valleys can happen all at once. And yet, it's often in those moments or in those places where his grace feels the most tangible to us. If you're listening today from a place of waiting or loss or uncertainty, I hope this conversation reminded you that you are not forgotten, you're not behind, and you're certainly not alone. God is with you in the valley, shaping you, sustaining you, and offering his grace for you today. Thank you so much for tuning into the Simply Rooted podcast. If this episode encouraged you in any way, I'd love for you to share it with a friend or leave a quick review. It truly helps these conversations reach others who may need to hear them too. Thank you so much, friend. We'll chat again soon.